Hello everyone, welcome to session 2 of IS Baba's Rapid Revision series or RARE series for UPSC 2021. I am Preetham Reddy and in this session I will be dealing with 10 important topics from polity which is important for UPSC Prelims Examination 2021. So today's topic is preamble, important keywords in the preamble. See, every year we have a question from preamble. This preamble chapter is quite important. So we'll be dealing with some important concepts and key terms in the preamble. And next important topic is 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, which is quite often in news. And next important topic is fundamental rights. And we'll be discussing important Supreme Court judgments dealing with some of the fundamental rights. And next we'll be dealing with domicile based reservation. So some of the important articles which were quite often in current affairs. And next we'll be dealing some of the current affair articles which dealt with reservation and which dealt with conditions of socially and educationally backward classes. So these are some of the topics. And finally, we will also try to know what is the difference between law and order and public order, okay, which was also in news. So we'll start with today's session. So first we have to know why preamble is very important chapter and why everyone has to revise preamble. Especially freshers, you have to be really careful and you have to revise thoroughly preamble, fundamental rights, fundamental duties and DPSP chapter, because every year there is a question from this particular areas. Okay, so you can see here 2020 we had a question, 2019 we had a question, 2018, 2017. Okay, so every year there are questions from preamble section. Okay, so we'll try to understand some of the important concepts which we might tend to forget. So while revising, we have to be conscious and we have to pay attention to some minute details. Okay, so I'll be covering in this session only those minute details and on those points where we need attention. Okay, so first is preamble. So we all know that our constitution starts with a preamble. So constitution begins with this preamble and it declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So you have to remember these important terms. So sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. And the preamble also mentions the goals of securing justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. So preamble is nothing but introduction to the constitution and it gives an insight into the philosophy of the constitution. So this preamble, you have to remember, it acts as an aid during the interpretation of articles when language is found ambiguous. Okay, so let's start with first point. So preamble, you have to know it is nothing but a modified version of objective resolution. So in previous session we came to know, we discussed about Jawaharlal Nehru's objective resolution, right? So the ideals behind the preamble, so they were laid down by that objective resolution. So second point what we have to remember is preamble is a part of Indian constitution. So there were much debate regarding whether preamble is a part of Indian constitution or not. So here we have to remember two important cases. One is Berubari's case, right, during 1960s, Berubari case. So here they said preamble is not part of constitution. And second important case what we have to remember is Keshavananda Bharati case, which was during 1973, right? So it was during Kesavananda Bharati case. Supreme Court ruled that preamble is a part of Indian constitution and it can be amended. So you have to remember, so these two cases are quite important. And next point, so this is really important and it can be confusing many times. So preamble is neither a source of power to legislature nor a prohibition upon the powers of legislature. So while revising, you have to remember this point and revise thoroughly. So preamble is neither a source of power nor prohibition upon the powers of legislature. Okay, and we all know that preamble is non-justiciable. So preamble is non-justiciable, that is its provisions are not enforceable in court of law, so which you all know. And finally we have to know that preamble tries to explain the objective of constitution in two important ways. One is it tells the structure of the governance and second it lays down the ideals to be achieved in independent India. So the preamble explains the objectives of the constitution in two ways. One about the structure of the governance and two about the ideals to be achieved in independent India. So you have to remember this. Next, we have to know some key important words which are in the preamble. So questions have been asked directly from this particular section. So we know that preamble says we the people of India, right? So here preamble says we the people of India. So when preamble says we the people of India, it indicates the ultimate sovereignty of the people of India. So we should know what is the meaning of sovereignty, right? So what is sovereignty? It's nothing but absolute independence. That is government which is not controlled by any other power. So I can say sovereignty means the independent authority of the state which is not being subject to the control of any other state or external power. So recently there was question regarding what is the relationship between law and liberty. So we can expect a question like what is the relationship between constitution and sovereignty. So here we have to remember a country cannot have its own constitution without being sovereign. So in other words, in order to have its own constitution, a country should be sovereign. So next we'll try to know what is the term socialist in the preamble mean. So this word was not there in the original preamble, so you have to remember. So it was added through 42nd Amendment Act, and 42nd Amendment Act, it is very important. So we'll be dealing that as the next topic. So 42nd Amendment Act, it incorporated words like socialist, secular, okay, and integrity, etc. So the word socialism has been used in the context of economic planning, okay. That means so commitment to attain ideals like removal of inequalities, provision of minimum basic necessities, equal pay for equal work, right? So Indian brand of socialism, you have to know, it is democratic socialism, okay. So India follows this democratic socialism. So what is this democratic socialism means? So democratic socialism, it holds faith in the mixed economy. So we follow mixed economy where both public and private sectors coexist side by side, right? So this democratic socialism, what it aims to do, it tries to end poverty, it tries to minimize inequality, and you should know Indian socialism is blend of Marxism and Gandhiism. Okay, such questions have been already asked by UPSC. So you should know Indian socialism is a blend of Marxism and Gandhiism, and it is leaning heavily towards Gandhian socialism. So next we'll try to understand what is secularism. So in India, there will be no state religion. That is, state will not support any particular religion out of public fund, and every individual is free to believe in and practice any religion he or she belongs to. And you should know state will not discriminate against any individual or group on the basis of religion. So this concept is very important because quite often in news there are hate speeches, there are clashes, and there are hatred comments against certain religion. So finally we have to know what is the term democratic republic. So republic means we all know it is nothing but government by the people and for the people. So what is democratic government? So democratic government is where the government is elected by the people and it is responsible and accountable to the people. So this is very important. And next important content which you have to remember is the definition of republic as declared by the preamble. See, they simply ask questions like this, like according to you, what is the most appropriate definition of liberty? In similar lines, they can ask what is the appropriate definition of republic. So it means that the head of the state is the president who is indirectly elected and is not a hereditary ruler as in case of British monarch. So next there are some confusing terms and confusing content. So while revising you have to note these points, that justice in preamble means social, political and economical justice. So it has all the three things, that is social, political and economical justice. And the ideal of justice, that is social, economical and political, it was borrowed from Russian Revolution we saw yesterday. So from Russian constitution, the feature, that is ideal of justice, was borrowed from Russia. So next, liberty, you have to know liberty is the essential requirement of democratic and free society. So the term liberty means the absence of restraints on the activity of individuals at the same time providing opportunities for the development of individual personalities. So there was a question, so you can see here. So they asked most appropriate definition of liberty. So protection against the tyranny of political rulers, absence of restraint, opportunity to do whatever one likes, opportunity to develop oneself fully. Okay, so from here we get to know what is liberty. Liberty means absence of restraints on the activities of individuals, at the same time providing opportunities for the development of individual personalities. So next you have to remember the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity. It has been borrowed from France. So next, while revising, we have to be careful, because in justice it is talking about social, political and economical. When it comes to equality, it is talking about civic, political and economic. So there is no social. So the three dimensions of equality which is discussed under preamble is civic, political and economic. So preamble secures to all citizens of India equality of status and opportunity. And finally, when it comes to fraternity, so you have to know fraternity means a sense of brotherhood. Okay, and this is assured by the system of single citizenship. So this year this fraternity concept is important because we know that anti-CAA protests were going on across the country, right? And preamble of the constitution was read out in public at several anti-CAA protests, and there were calls for upholding fraternity and equality. So fraternity means a sense of brotherhood, and preamble declares that fraternity has to assure two things. One is the dignity of the individual, and second is unity and integrity of the nation. So this is quite important. And the term fraternity, it was incorporated from Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So this particular concept is important for this year. And apart from this, you have to remember concept of egalitarian state. So in one of the previous year question papers, they had asked about welfare state. So I am expecting this year they might ask about egalitarian state. So what is egalitarian state? It is nothing but such state is expected to reduce inequalities among citizens, and it tries to fulfill minimum requirements of all. So right now pandemic conditions, so the state should focus on reducing inequalities among the citizens. At the same time, it has to fulfill some minimum basic requirements. And this preamble, which actually provides for some humane vision or ideas such as democratic, secular, right? So we can say that preamble hints the constitution or hints the state to be egalitarian. So if in case they ask which part of the constitution of India declares the ideal of egalitarian state, then we can choose preamble. So next topic, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. So one more important area where UPSC frames question is certain important constitutional amendment acts. And this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, it is also called as mini constitution, right? So it is called as mini constitution. That's why it is important. And this amendment, it was carried out during the year 1976 during internal emergency had happened. So this 42nd Amendment Act, it is very important, and it is also regarded as the most controversial constitutional amendment in the history. Okay, why? Because it tried to reduce the power of Supreme Court and High Courts to pronounce upon the constitutional validity of laws. Okay, so we'll try to see what kind of amendments did 42nd Constitutional Amendment make. So first, it brought some amendments in the preamble. So we just now saw preamble chapter. So 3 new words in the preamble were added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, that is socialist, secular and integrity. So they can simply ask 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act included which among the following words in the preamble. So next we have to know 42nd Constitutional Amendment. So it added Part 4A or Article 51A to the Constitution. So we all know that the original Constitution did not provide for the fundamental duties, right? So this amendment added this new article called 51A, that is Part 4A of the Constitution, which deals with fundamental duties. And these were added during the operation of internal emergency and on the recommendation of Swaran Singh Committee. So this is something important which we have to know. And next you have to know this 42nd constitutional amendment, it also amended DPSP. So 4 new directive principles were added to secure opportunities for healthy development of children, which is important, enabling free legal aid, Article 39A, and protection of workers in factories, and Article 48A, which deals with the protection of environment and to safeguard forest and wildlife. This is quite important, and you have to know that through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, DPSPs were given precedence over fundamental rights, and any law made to this effect by the parliament was kept beyond the scope of judicial review by the court. Okay, so this was something important which the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act did. Okay, and then you have to know it tried to increase the life of Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly, so it extended from 5 to 6 years. And when it comes to judiciary, this 42nd Constitutional Amendment made the constitutional amendment beyond judicial scrutiny. As I said, it tried to reduce the power of Supreme Court and High Courts to pronounce upon the constitutional validity of laws, and it tried to curtail the judicial review power of the High Court. So it debarred the High Courts from considering the constitutional validity of any central law, and it also inserted Article 32A in order to deny Supreme Court the power to consider the constitutional validity of a state law, and another article, that is 131A, gave the Supreme Court an exclusive jurisdiction to determine question relating to the constitutional validity of a central law. But in this particular content, which is more important, is it tried to curtail the judicial review power of the High Court. And next important thing is it provided for the creation of the All India Judicial Services. So this All India Judicial Services was recently in news because the current government is in the process of finalizing a bill to establish All India Judicial Service in order to recruit officers for subordinate courts through an entrance test. So this All India Judicial Services was important, and you have to know the provision of All India Judicial Services was included in Article 312. So the provision of All India Judicial Services, it was included through the Article 312 through this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. And next you have to know this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, it also made the President bound by the advice of the Cabinet, very important, and it gave special discriminatory powers to the Speaker of the Lok Sabha and Prime Minister. So next important provision which was brought by this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act was it enabled the center to deploy armed forces to deal with any grave situation of law and order arising in any state. So this particular provision is very important, and I'm expecting a question from this area also. And this 42nd Constitutional Amendment, it empowered the Parliament to make laws to deal with anti-national activities, and such laws are to take precedence over fundamental rights. So this is what is happening right now in the country. So maybe a question can be framed. So next you have to know this 42nd Constitution Amendment Act, it authorized the President to declare emergency in any part of the country. And finally it also added Part 14A, that is tribunals dealing with administrative matters and tribunals for other matters. And this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act is also important because it added some subjects to the concurrent list. So it transferred 5 subjects to the concurrent list from the state list, that is education, forest, weights and measures, protection of wild animals and birds, and administration of justice, constitution and organization of all courts except the Supreme Court and High Court. So these were some of the subjects which were transferred from state list to the concurrent list. So when you are revising, try to remember at least these points which are very important. So next important topic, fundamental rights. Again, very important chapter. You people have to revise fundamental rights. Every year there are questions from this area. So if you have analyzed previous year questions, you will see. So under which division, which provisions or which articles comes. So you can see here the main divisions, so categories. So under which category, which particular articles come. Okay. So while revising, do revise these things. I don't want to spend time on this. Okay. 2 areas which you have to remember, that is 1, the main categories and which articles come under which category or division, and second, which fundamental rights are available for citizens and which are not available for foreigners. So if you can revise and remember which are the fundamental rights which are not available to foreigners, then it's easy. So there are 5 important fundamental rights which are not available for foreigners, and it is exclusive only to the citizens. So one is Article 15, that is discrimination, and Article 16, that is equality of opportunity in matters of public employment, and Article 19, that is freedom of expression and speech, freedom of assembly, association, movement, etc., and Article 29, that is protection of language, script and culture of minorities, and finally right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions, that is Article 30. So revise these two important tables which I have provided. Next important topic is we'll deal with some of the important Supreme Court judgments dealing with fundamental rights. So first we'll deal with right to reservation. So recently there was Supreme Court judgment. So Supreme Court recently observed that the right to reservation is not a fundamental right. So it is not a fundamental right. So I think this particular judgment was given in Mukesh Kumar versus I think state of Uttarakhand. So in this case, the Supreme Court or the court observed that right to reservation is not part of fundamental right. That's the reason Article 32, that is writs, could not be applied since there was no fundamental rights to have reservation benefits. So you have to remember this. And also you have to know it is within absolute discretion of the state government to decide whether or not to provide for reservation. Okay, and there is no obligation on the states to mandatorily provide reservation. So this is what the Supreme Court said. So second thing what you have to remember is right to protest. So right to protest is a fundamental right under Article 19. So it is a part of fundamental right, but recently there were Supreme Court judgment where Supreme Court observed that okay, right to protest is fundamental rights, but occupation of public roads and public spaces in exercise of the right to protest is not permissible under the law. Okay, so they said okay, you can protest, but protest in some specified area. So it should not obstruct traffic, or you should not obstruct some public roads or public spaces. So next, right to internet. So right to internet was also declared as fundamental right. So under Article 19 of the Constitution. So again it is under Article 19, and you have to remember that this right to internet, it was not elevated to the status of human right. So this right to internet is not brought under Article 21, it is just Article 19, and to be specific it is under Article 19(1)(g), which deals with practicing any profession or carrying on any occupation, trade or business. So next you have to know right to live in relationship. So even this is fundamental right under Article 21. So living together is a right to life under Article 21, you have to know. And right to information, that is right to know, which is provided under the Right to Information Act, even that is fundamental right, and it is fundamental right under both Article 19 as well as Article 21. And already UPSC previous year question paper, they had asked right to marry is a part of fundamental right under Article 21. It had also asked right to privacy, Putswami judgment, right, Article 21. So there was one more judgment which discussed regarding the rights defined under Article 30. So Supreme Court said whatever the fundamental rights which are defined under Article 30, they are not absolute. So we know that Article 30 deals with religious and linguistic minorities. So you have to know it deals with religious and linguistic minorities. So here Supreme Court observed that Article 30 doesn't prevent the state from imposing reasonable restrictions or regulations to make administration of minority institutions transparent. Okay, so you have to remember some of these important cases. So next important topic, domicile based reservation. So domicile based reservation, it was quite often in news because many states try to provide jobs for the locals. So Article 16 subclause 2 of the Constitution, it guarantees equal treatment under law in matters of public employment, and it also prohibits the state from discriminating on grounds of place of birth or residence. So this article is important because it guarantees equal treatment under law in matters of public employment, and it also prohibits the state from discriminating on grounds of place of birth or residence. However, there is one more article, very important, Article 16 subclause 3, it provides an exception by saying that Parliament may make a law prescribing a requirement of residence for jobs in a particular state. So you have to remember this power rests solely in the Parliament and not with state legislatures. So that is the difference. So while revising you have to remember. So it is solely with the Parliament. So next you should know 16 subclause 4. So nothing in this article shall prevent the state from making any provision for the reservation, especially in favoring backward class of citizens. So here it is giving discretion to the states. So they are telling that nothing shall prevent the state from making such provisions for the reservation. So if in case the state is of the opinion that certain backward classes is inadequately represented, then it can provide reservation. So one more important article what you have to remember is even Article 371. It provides for the provision. Say for example, Andhra Pradesh under Article 371D has powers to have direct recruitment of local cadre in specified areas. So finally what you have to remember is, yes, reservation is certainly permissible under the constitution, but it is not a fundamental right. And although these provisions are mentioned in fundamental rights, their nature is like directives to the state. So they are not binding on the state. You have to remember. So next important article, that is 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. So here you have to know this Constitutional Amendment Act, it provides for 10% reservation in government jobs and educational institutions for economically weaker section. So this act amended Article 15 and 16 to provide for the reservation based on economic backwardness. So you have to know it is based on economic backwardness. And next point what you have to know is economically weaker section, it is to be notified by the state from time to time. So for the purpose of this Article 15 and 16, so economically weaker sections, they are to be notified by the state from time to time on the basis of family income and other indicators of economic disadvantages. So what are the other clauses which were added by 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act? So one, it brought new clause to Article 15 and new clause to Article 16, which we already discussed. That is, it allowed the government to carve reservation for economically weaker section in higher education institutions, including the private ones, whether they are aided or not aided by the state. And according to Article 16, it provides for quota for economically deprived sections in the initial appointment of government services. So this one deals with education and second one deals with, Article 16 deals with reservation and appointments. And you have to know Indira Sane case. So during Indira Sane case, the court had fixed limit of 50% reservation ceiling. Okay. And you have to know about Article 46 when you are revising. So Article 46, that is under DPSP. So it asks the government to promote the educational and economical interests of the weaker section of the society. So 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, it deals with economically weaker section. So next we will be dealing with Mandal Commission, Rohini Commission and Article 340. Again, this is dealing with backward classes, condition of backward classes. So Article 340, you have to remember, it provides for the appointment of a commission to investigate the condition of backward classes. That is, President has to appoint a backward class commission as per Article 340, which you have to remember. So according to Article 40, President will appoint commission to investigate the conditions of backward classes. And you should know this commission should present report to President, and President will lay such report to in front of the House of Parliament. So why this particular topic is important? Because recently there was news that Rohini Commission recommendations will be implemented during July, or the commission will give recommendations in July month. Okay, so this Rohini Commission, it was set up in 2017. So President framed a 5-member commission and it was headed by former Chief Justice of Delhi, that is Rohini. So this particular commission, it is exploring the topic of subcategorization of other backward classes. And you should also know Mandal Commission. So Mandal Commission, it deals with the reservation of backward classes in government jobs. So next important topic, 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Again, this particular act deals with, again this particular constitutional amendment, it deals with the backward classes. So this 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act, so some important points what you have to note is it provided constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes. So now National Commission for Backward Classes, so it has the authority to examine complaints and welfare measures regarding socially and educationally backward classes. And previously this NCBC was just a statutory body under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, but right now this NCBC is a constitutional body. So it was during Indira Sane case in 1992, Supreme Court had directed that time itself that the government should create a permanent body in order to entertain, examine and recommend the inclusion and exclusion of various backward classes. So right now with this 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act, so National Commission for Backward Classes, it has got constitutional status. So we have to know certain important constitutional provisions. First one, Article 40. So just now we saw appointment of a commission to investigate the condition of backward classes. Second, we know that 102nd Constitutional Amendment, it brought certain changes. So it inserted two important articles, 338B and 342A. 338B, so it provides authority to the NCBC, and 342A, it empowers President to specify socially and educationally backward classes. And next you have to know very important point, in order to amend the list of backward classes, law enacted by Parliament is required. So today's final topic, that is law and order versus public order. So Supreme Court had recently made a distinction between law and order and public order. And Supreme Court emphasized that these two terms are not interchangeable. So this particular topic was in news and there was a debate because of anti-CAA protests and because of Shaheen Bagh issue. So while distinguishing public order and law and order, Supreme Court said 7th schedule of the Constitution. So 7th schedule of the Constitution, it distinguishes between police and public order. So we know the 7th schedule deals with union list, state list and concurrent list. So this law and order, that is police and public order, so they come under the state list. So you have to remember this. And there is difference between law and order and public order. So law and order consists of the analysis which is made by the police. So Supreme Court said it is the duty of the police to analyze the situation in an area and then commit to certain actions and penalties under criminal law. And when it comes to public order, Supreme Court said it is the duty which is imposed on the district magistrate to assess the situation. So Supreme Court said it is the duty of district magistrate to assess whether it is necessary to rush to the spot where law and order has been breached to prevent violence spreading and ease tensions. So these are the important topics in today's session. Do revise. So let's try to meet in next session.